What's up, my beardos and weirdos? One topic here. And today we're diving into one of our favorite subreddits, r/nuclear revenge. We have two stories to go over today. The first one is about a neighbor who abuses animals, so the OP works to get them removed from the city. The second one is about a girl who has two stalkers, and then she gets some epic revenge on them. Alright, let's jump into it. r/help me get my neighbor removed from the city. So, I'm not a regular Reddit user. I recently found r/ on YouTube and heard many stories of revenge, pro-revenge, etc. I'm a very forgiving person, often taken advantage of, but I let it slide. I have one exception. Don't mess with my kids. TLDR at the end. Quick backstory. My oldest is on the autism spectrum. When we first moved here, 6 years ago, he saw two girls playing next door with some rocks. He knew he wasn't allowed to leave the yard, so he ran around our property, finding the prettiest rocks he could, and threw them at the girls, who ran crying to their mom. I spoke to their mom, who seemed cool, and we resolved the issue peacefully. I thought. Shortly after we moved here, I noticed the neighbor's dog would get out and roam around the neighborhood. She was very skittish, so I could never catch her. We live on a busy road, so I was worried and occasionally called animal control to see if they could help her before she got hit. One day, my neighbor's other dog was in our yard. When the kids and I stepped out of the house to go to the car, it snarled and growled. I called the police. It was a Sunday, animal control was closed, and they took care of it. The next day, neighbor storms over to me, screaming at me for costing her a lot of money. She blamed me, my husband, her landlord for not fixing her fence, and insisted she had very powerful friends who would crush me if I didn't leave her alone. She screamed over her loss of thousands of dollars, claiming I had cost her daughter her senior pictures. "You should be more forgiving," she said, "since I should have reported your retarded kid." Don't mess with my kids. Another quick note. It turns out she would let the dogs out when they were in heat, only to let them back when they were pregnant. They would sell the puppies and repeat. Animal control did what they could, but they couldn't do much. Since watching r/, I became quite aware of malicious compliance. I read our city's codes and ordinances until I knew them front to back. And I reported her for everything. Cans on the street at 6:01 p.m. and they're required to be in by 6 p.m.? Reported. I can hear you from my property? Reported. Grass too high? Reported. I have a massive spreadsheet of times, dates, and violations. Meanwhile, she let her dogs out. They dug up the neighborhood, pooped everywhere, and got into our trash. Since the one dog was vicious, I couldn't let my kids go outside without me. We felt like prisoners in our own home. The dogs would be outside in all kinds of weather. Ice storms, 100+ degree heat, no water, no food, no shelter. Animal control and I became best friends. They desperately wanted the dogs removed. It reached a point where they drove by her house on the way to and from work. They rescued dozens of puppies, sometimes finding them wandering the road. Where I live, there's a limit to how many times you can report someone within a time frame. And if I walked in to report, and they knew I couldn't, they would give a shake of their head. I wanted to look at adopting an animal. I've taken in a fabulous sweetie of a cat and a poor abused doggo, but that's not important to the story. My neighbor was furious. Any day I reported them, I would wake up the next day to find something on my property wrong. Car broken into, faucet in the backyard turned on high, the gas in my grill left on, all kinds of stuff. I've tried everything, even getting PETA involved, before I knew they were likely to put the dogs down. Eventually, the vicious dog was hit by a car. They immediately got a new dog. I reported them for not licensing it. When I spoke to other neighbors, I let them know what was going on and encouraged them to report them as well. I'm very active in my community, and I've gotten to first name basis with many, like the mayor, police chief, etc. There was a sort of academy to get to know your city, and I took it. So I met a lot of people and have been volunteering, so they view me in a good light. Well, it's been a couple of years, and my work is finally paying off. I got a call from a lawyer representing the county. She was bringing everything to the court and wanted me to testify. When she found out I had a spreadsheet, pictures, and videos of everything, she nearly squealed with delight. My neighbor is currently being charged with reckless endangerment, being a public nuisance, animal cruelty, child endangerment, disturbing the peace, and I can't remember what else. The lawyer informed me that they were requesting the following. Number 1, they not to be allowed to own any animals, ever. Number 2, the current animals be removed at once. Number 3, due to the large number of complaints from the neighborhood, and due to the varying types of complaints, they are to be deemed a public nuisance and be removed from the county, never allowed to return. Number 4, damages be paid to the neighborhood, since we all lost many a flower garden to the dogs, plus all the time we had to spend cleaning the trash and poop up. Number 5, jail time. Now, I confess, I didn't know it was possible to be banned from a city, never mind an entire county. It wasn't my intent. I just wanted these dogs rescued. They didn't deserve to be treated like that. Bonus? A few nights ago, I was legit concerned when I heard screaming and crashing from their house. I called the police. Evidently, they got the news about going to court and why, and it started an argument between husband and wife that evolved into a screaming/throwing things event, shattering their front window in the process. They only arrested the husband, who screamed the entire time that he was going to divorce her, and she would take the fall for the puppy mill by herself. I haven't seen him since, but a lawyer showed up at my door on accident looking for her. I looked her name up. She's a divorce lawyer. TLDR, call my kid au retard while you abuse animals. I'll have you removed from the city and ruin your marriage. Damn, OP, that's pretty savage. Now, when the story started, it seemed like you're being a bit particular about whether or not someone's animal could be roaming around their house, but as the story went on, I could really start to see things from your perspective, and it sounded like your neighbor really, really deserved this. And those poor doggos. Oh gosh. I can only imagine that the aggressive one was only that way because of the treatment at home. So I wish they had more of a chance with this one. Good on you, OP, for being so strategic with the way you documented all the information. And for those who don't know, r/ is another guy who reads out Reddit stories. He's another channel you can check out. Thanks for sharing that, OP. Maybe we'll see something from you in the future.
Next story!
Short and sweet. Repost because I posted the draft on accident and it didn't contain the full story. This is the full story. Okay, so this one happened like a month ago. These two guys wouldn't leave me the fuse alone. I blocked them on Instagram, phone, and Snap. They keep trying to reach out to me. When they reached out, they said things that triggered panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I've been recovering from an abusive relationship. Since the incident, I have unfortunately gone through some really bad anxiety that I'm trying to overcome rather than let control my life. Ashholes like this don't help. It didn't contain the full story. This is the full story. Okay, so this one happened like a month ago. These two guys wouldn't leave me the fuse alone. I blocked them on Instagram, phone, and Snap. They keep trying to reach out to me. When they reached out, they said things that triggered panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I've been recovering from an abusive relationship. Since the incident, I have unfortunately gone through some really bad anxiety that I'm trying to overcome rather than let control my life. Ashholes like this don't help. So it started when this kid we will call E said I was hot. He tried to hit me up, but I went on a date and I wasn't interested. So him and his friend, we will call M, thinks it's hilarious to try to piss me off constantly. Example, constantly telling me I'm fat, ugly, my ex didn't really abuse me, and so on. He shouldn't have even known that happened. They just constantly found it super, super funny. They also do this to other people, even a girl on the edge of suicide. So I pretty much ignore it, and I'm still pleasant with them. I may be a girl, but I hate drama, and wanted none of it. An important part of the story is I played on Xbox with their friend, and they would forgot I was in the party and start talking about people. This is how I learned he had someone I used to be friends with nudes. He had showed multiple people the pictures and sent them to his best friend E. Finally, I came to my senses. I realized the way I was being treated was unacceptable, and I knew this guy would leak the girl's nudes, so I genuinely wanted to help her because stuff like that ruins people's futures. I anonymously warned her through a fake number. Later that day, I get a text from her boyfriend telling me I need to mind my own business, and this is why nobody at school I used to go to likes me, and shiz. At this point, I'm having an anxiety attack and freaking out. I'm hyperventilating and having a genuine panic attack. I'm feeling terrible because I genuinely feel like I did something wrong. I was putting myself down and feeling like shiz. I felt like I offended them, so I started apologizing and trying to explain my thought process. Turns out it was just them fusing with me. I'm crying and shiz for no reason. My anxiety turns to rage as I block this number. Note, I had them blocked through everything, and they made a fake number because both E and M were blocked through. Sure, it was known that his phone contained illegal images of minors. The other? Well, he likes to smoke a lot of weed, and unfortunately he's under 21, and it's illegal in my state. Oops. I have no idea what happened to E, but I heard he was kicked off the lacrosse team and possibly getting a large fine. I hear the other one is on the sex offender list and possibly facing juvie time because he actually had lots of underage pictures. Edit. Some people wanted screenshots, so here you go. Listen, I want to help with this situation. I really don't want drama.
This is why no one at Brook likes you. Because you like to get into people's drama.
Okay, please don't hit me up with that.
Bullshiz. It was you who texted her. Don't be texting my girlfriend.
What proof of that do you freaking have? I don't even have Abby's number, dude.
We got the IP from where the text was, and it was the same IP of your house.
You don't have my house IP.
Urban Bicha.
Huh?
You're a fake redneck.
Oh, thanks, lol.
Huh?
Edit. Thank you guys for all the upvotes and kind words.
Damn, OP. Yeah, some people are a little bit too dangerous to have around, so good on you for reporting them to the authorities. And don't at all feel bad for
If you're renting out your house, it's perfectly reasonable to want good tenants. But this landlord has one rule that's not negotiable.
It's a spacious home for rent in an affordable suburb, close to the beach and amenities. Everything a prospective tenant in the crowded rental market would want.
But there's a snag. If you're a fan of a good old-fashioned Australian barbecue with plenty of sausages, some white bread and some tomato sauce, then you may be out of luck, I'm afraid. You see, there's some pretty strict conditions linked to this family rental, and meat eaters need not apply. In fact, the only people who can live in this house are vegans.
It's hard enough to find a rental just for my small family, so dealing with this is just ridiculous, honestly.
Everybody should be allowed to live wherever they want.
No, you're not mistaken. This real estate ad is fair dinkum. 4-bedroom house for rent to a vegan family. The post on Gumtree reads, "House is only for vegan family and no other food or beverages allowed in the house."
Definitely discrimination.
Discrimination?
Discrimination? Can you discriminate like that?
Well, one Melbourne landlord certainly thinks so. The owner of this home in Frankston in the city's southeast.
And why should I be discriminated against just because I like pork roast?
It's a slap in the face for struggling new mum Janice Jamison Luke. The 25-year-old and her family are being forced to leave their rental property because the owner wants to sell, and they're finding it really tough to secure a new place.
It's just stressful at the moment. If you have a kid or if you have more than 2 kids, you're competing with families constantly.
Janice would love to be considered for a home like this and is furious her family's application wouldn't even be accepted.
Anyone in this country should be allowed to apply for a rental, depending on if it's a private rental or a real estate, doesn't matter, you should be able to.
It's also got locals in a flap.
You're a fan of your meat, by the sound.
I love meat. And if he didn't want me to rent it, I would just say to him, well, you shove it where the sun don't shine. There's a good butcher just up the road. Sells beautiful meat.
There is a house around here for rent, but there's a condition. You can only live in the house and rent it if you're a family of vegans. They're banning everyone else. What do you think?
Oh, well, that would put me out of work. So, no, I'm not agreeing with that whatsoever.
Many reckon life would be boring without a tasty Scotch fillet or a gourmet snag. But what options are on offer for vegans? Maybe life with no real meat isn't that different.
Look, so options are a little limited. Picked up these chicken flavoured soy nuggets. You can always go for the veganese, better than mayo, apparently. My personal favourite though, who needs a big meaty cheeseburger when you can have these soy burger patties? Yum.
Vegans have been in the headlines lately, most recently for choking Melbourne's CBD as part of guerrilla protests.
Veganism is a philosophy which underpins everything in a person's life.
Claire Mann is a vegan psychologist.
The landlord is trying to be a good vegan. They're saying if I allow people in an area that I have control over to come into my home and give me earnings from that, if it comes from the suffering of animals, I don't want any part in it.
So, can this vegan-only rental ad actually be considered discrimination? Well, like a well-done steak, it's a tough one. According to our research, it could technically be illegal under anti-discrimination legislation on the basis it discriminates against prospective tenants due to their political beliefs.
When one becomes a vegan, it's not only what they put into their mouth, the biggest political statement they can make about how they want the world to be. It's also the pharmaceuticals that they buy, which are tested on animals, the clothes they buy.
It'd be tough if you were going through the list and you thought, oh great, 3 bedrooms, tick off, terrific, 2 carports, or it's right near the school that we want, and then you get right to the bottom and says that you can't have rissoles anymore. It would be a sad old day.
Justin Smith is a 3AW commentator.
I've got every respect for people that want to be